Welcome to Mamamia Out Loud. It's what women are actually talking about on Wednesday, the 8th of October. I'm Holly Wainwright.
I'm Jessie Stevens.
And I'm Amelia Lester.
And here's what's made our agenda today.
We are on day 6 of the Taylor Swift Life of a Showgirl
Only day 6.
discourse. Mm-hmm. Exactly right. And today, Swift is in trouble. You may have missed why. We discuss why some fans are very pissed off.
And we're going to talk about klarnamaxxing. That's a new term for the buy now, pay later lifestyle. But there might be a dark side to young women buying luxury goods with these services.
J-Lo and Ben. I don't know. I don't know if we're ready to go through all this again, friends. We need to hold hands and discuss why some exes should just not try to be friends.
We have some urgent thoughts. Did you know the Caesar salad was created in Mexico and has now been reinvented by GYG? Made with free-range grilled chicken, crunchy cos lettuce, their gourmet Caesar dressing, jack cheese, and GYG's famous crushed corn chips. All you have to do is shake it to make it. How fun.
But first, Jessie.
In case you missed it, there has been a surge in shark tracking app downloads, which is following the death of a surfer in DY last month. So after people saw that news, thousands of people, particularly in New South Wales, downloaded the app Shark Smart. There's another one called Dorsal something.
That's the one I've got.
Yeah, and it works by providing real-time alerts about tagged shark detections and also sightings from surf life-saving drones. Now, while your actual chances of being attacked by a shark in Australia are ridiculously low, you're far more likely to get caught in, say, a lethal rip. Incidents of shark attacks in Australia have gone up for a variety of reasons. So I was reading, I knew about, coastal changes in coastal erosion and even climate change and a bunch of things. I didn't realise that because wetsuits keep getting better, people are spending longer and longer in the water. Mm-hmm. And also more people are in are using Australian beaches than ever before in history, right? More people are swimming.
Population growth, lots of tourists.
Exactly right. So it does make sense. But in saying that, the approach to any injuries with sharks has improved astronomically. So it is very unlikely to have a fatal shark attack. Now, I want to know, so Holly, you have a shark tracking app.
I do, and...
For all the surfing you do?
Yeah. Yeah. Look, it's interesting because I used to, I'm against tracking in general. I want to respect the shark's privacy.
Yeah.
But I have Dorsal. And I don't know why. My relationship with it this summer is going to be complicated because without wanting to sound flippant about what has clearly been, very traumatic incidents and loss of life, the problem with it is now I get pinged all the time. So I live near the coast on the south coast of New South Wales. And so my area, you select the area that you're interested in. And it's quite big. And it pings all the time. No. And that's quite alarming. So you open your thing and there's a little shark fin and it's at the beach near where I live and it's there and it's there and it says, this is a white, this is a bronzer, and it kind of messes with my head.
Yeah.
Because then I also think, these are only the tagged sharks. Because I think, and don't at me if I got this wrong, but I think the way that these are sharks that are tagged.
They're tagged, and then I'm not sure if this is Dorsal as well, but there's like drone technology used by places that they kind of look over when the water's clear, they can see.
These are basically the sharks we know about.
Yeah, and what this means is the holly sharks, the ones that resent being tracked and figure out all these like sneaky ways to swim under the radar. We're not even thinking about those
rebellious teen.
They are not on Find My Friends.
They are not. And the thing is it's changed my mindset. So, I might walk along the beach near where I live and I usually look out to sea and I'm thinking, that's beautiful. If it's a lovely day, I'm going to go for a swim. Now I'm finding myself looking out there and going, I know what's out there. And it's changing my relationship with the ocean. So I wonder if they're really sensible and help us assess risk or if they make us mentally increase the risk.
Yeah, and also if it makes us acknowledge who the ocean primarily belongs to, right? It's like the idea that they're going to exist and we have to work out how to coexist. But I was also thinking, I got stuck in a rip like a few years ago. It was really scary.
Yeah, terrifying.
And I'm like, there's got to be an app that tells me where there's a rip. Of course, there is some.
Yes.
It's a bit of a less interesting app, right?
got less shark fins.
Exactly,
Yeah.
less shark fins. But I'm like, that would probably be more useful if before we got in the water, we all checked to go, all right.
Assess the danger of this beach.
Yeah.
Listen, I need an app for something else. Magpies. It's swooping season.
Oh, no.
And I got swooped twice yesterday.
Where were you? Sorry, that sounded like victim blaming. I'm so sorry. But
Yeah, you next one asked me what I was wearing. And by the way, there's no truth to the fact that they swoop particular colours. So before you asked me what I was wearing, which was a beige hat, if that's okay with you, Jessie.
It needed eyes on the back.
So were you in a park?
No, I was just walking in my neighbourhood and this magpie swoops me and then I have to cross over the street and he clearly has a vendetta. They do hold grudges.
Yeah, they do.
They know about faces. They know up to 200 human faces and they remember them for up to 20 years. So this magpie clearly hates me and now I've been advised you cannot walk down that street during swooping season because now he thinks you really are a threat. Something about you really triggered him. You just got to avoid that street for the rest of the month.
Okay, that's helpful.
It belongs to the birds.
But there is a way to track magpie swoopings. I've gone deep on this. There are websites where you can in real time see people logging their magpie swoopings, which I did. And there's a lot of them around right now.
Did I tell you I was in a really bad mood once and I walked out onto the street and a magpie went for me, got me in the eye. Came and just
I remember that.
Remember that? I got swooped by a magpie in the eye and I was like, I defended you. Like people who are afraid of birds, I was always like, that's immature.
Yes.
I have a phobia of birds now.
Now you do think they're little dinosaurs.
Yes.
Well, it's kind of funny. It's kind of funny seeing someone being swooped. If they don't get hurt, I know this is wrong. I acknowledge this is wrong, but I was in my neighborhood the other week and there was a kid and he had a bike helmet on and it even had those things sticking out of it because kids are very savvy on their
They're
bikes.
so savvy.
Around my neighborhood, they'll put like cable ties sticking out of their helmet and stuff to deter them. And there was a kid and he was riding along the pavement and these magpies just kept swooping him and he was like, whoa! And it was actually very amusing to watch. He was fine. Nobody was hurt, but it was just very primal, very boy versus bird. And I think he was kind of enjoying it because then he went to the end of the road, turned around and rode back.
did it again.
And I just thought it was so funny, but I'm sorry. I know it's not funny, is it?
I saw a post by writer Caroline O'Donoghue yesterday that read, people will whinge all year that culture has become too splintered and that there are no water cooler moments anymore and then lose their shit if an album or movie is in the news for longer than 3 days.
This is entirely accurate because
like,
we're having one of those, what do we call it, a monocultural moment.
Yes.
Because I was out and about around Sydney for work and all you could hear coming out of every car and every shop was that new Taylor Swift single, The Fate of Ophelia. And it was very unifying. It felt great. It was a warm evening and that song was everywhere. And you were like, when was the last time we were all playing the same
song? Exactly. And then people get annoyed because they're like, well, I don't even like it. It's overrated. You can't say that it's overrated, etc. And
you don't know enough about this artist to have an opinion about anything, whether you like that song or not.
You know what? You actually know too much. So how about that?
Yeah, exactly.
We are on day 6 of the Taylor Swift Life of a Showgirl discourse, and today's chapter is all about AI. So we talked about all the takes, the diss track, the tradwife accusations. On yesterday's Subscribe
the woman bakes
episode.
too much bread.
But today we are going to talk about why Taylor is in trouble. So on Saturday, our time, something about a bunch of orange doors were hidden in 12 cities around the world. There was a treasure hunt. There was something about like you'd go to the door, there was a QR code. None of this needs to make sense. Just stay with me.
Just roll with it.
What you might have actually seen is that if you went on Google that day, they had a special Taylor Swift themed kind of info thing. You know how they sometimes change
And
up?
Out Loud posted about it and said, go and Google Taylor Swift and see what happens. So I did because I do what the Out Louders tell me. And I very quickly didn't understand.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, that was part of it, right? So these 12 doors led to 12 videos which were part of a promotional scavenger hunt released by Google. So what's the problem? What's the problem? It's all a bit of fun.
The kind of thing that people do all the time for promotion.
Exactly. It feels a bit Pokemon Go.
How famous do you have to be to take over Google? Like, could I do it on a book release day if I was just in the mood? Like, I don't know.
So fans started noticing that these videos looked very AI. So there's a finger that goes through a napkin, a hanger is there and then that disappears. There's a treadmill, but all the letters are gibberish.
One of them looks distinctly like the prompt they put into the generative AI was something about George Michael's Freedom 90 video.
Oh.
Do you remember that iconic music
Hell
video
yes.
with the supermodels and the bathtub and the dark mansion? That was absolutely the prompt.
Okay, that's how it felt, right? So this is from an artist who has fiercely advocated for artists' rights. That's always been her beat. She has spoken out about pornographic deepfakes, which are created by AI, that she's been a victim of that. This is also from a billionaire who can afford to pay real artists. Now, the closer I look, the more I think that people are missing a very key piece of the puzzle here. But before we get to that, what do you guys make of this use of AI? Do you think that it's us all being a little bit hysterical, or do you think it's a real misstep?
No, I think it's a real misstep. I think when I watch AI videos like these, I feel sad. So the one that looks like the George Michael Freedom 90 video, it feels like an alien version of the George Michael Freedom 90 video. It has none of the originality. It has none of the punch. It has none of that incredibly invigorating feeling when you see original creative art for the first time. And I do have to point out, sorry to be a downer here, but generative AI is generative, meaning it's drawing on what other artists have done to create new things. So not only is she putting out of work people who could have made those videos, she's also drawing on work that other artists have produced without paying for it. And there's a huge environmental cost too, but we all know that as well.
I have seen all these criticisms. AI is stolen art, as everybody knows. It's accurate. The thing is I think that Taylor Swift, particularly at moments of mass saturation of Taylor Swift, that as we have been living through for almost a week, as you point out, she becomes like the lens through which you see everything in the culture and every argument within the culture. So whether that is ambition versus greed, is she too greedy or is she just an ambitious, woman? Hustle versus tradwifeism, she's all of the conversations we're having, you can apply them to a Taylor Swift moment. Like this one, like this pop versus art is also one, is this just throwaway pop? Lots of people are saying. And then this one, which is the AI versus the true artists. And I think that Amelia's right. I think that if you're taking a serious view on it, it is nonsense that someone as powerful as Taylor Swift, because the thing is she's become a corporation in herself. She's very much, and she draws criticism for this, but is also massively admired for this. At this point in her career, in complete control of her kingdom, in a way that, her queendom rather, in a way that most artists are certainly not. They are being dictated to by record companies, marketing executives, all those things. Whereas we all know that Swift has fought really, really hard to have complete creative control of her world. And so because of that, it also kind of opens her up to personal criticism in a way that if the circumstances were different, it wouldn't be. So and I think you said that, there's obviously Taylor Swift, the human, there's Taylor Swift, the artist, there's Taylor Swift, the brand. And Taylor Swift, the brand, is, of course, open for criticism. I mean, all those people are to a point. But because she is the queen of her kingdom, any criticism of Taylor Swift, the brand, quickly falls and translates into criticism of her. So if the people who are saying this use of AI is disappointing from somebody who has, as you've both pointed out, been very stridently defensive of artists who can afford to pay proper people to put their videos together, that is all valid criticism. But where it often ends up is silly, selfish billionaire. You know what I mean? And that's kind of disappointing.
I reckon Taylor Swift is so pissed off. And the closer
so you don't think she had any control
the closer I look at this, the more I think she had nothing to do with it. So it was released by Google. Now, Google has a brand new product that it is about to release that is going up against OpenAI, and that product is an AI video generator. And this is the biggest cultural moment of the year. So Google, to my mind, has gone, how do we harness the Taylor Swift brand to promote this product?
Yeah, but they can't do that without Taylor Swift's okay.
Taylor Swift's okay.
Yeah.
Exactly right. Now, I can see a world in which this was pitched or whatever, And they went, we're going to have doors and we're going to have this and we're going to have Easter eggs and blah, blah, blah. And Taylor's team has thought, okay, that's fine. But the fact that this hasn't been shared by Taylor Nation, which is her official kind of what they share on Instagram, it's been taken off the YouTube channels since it went up, suggests to me that she is trying to distance herself from it because it's cheap. It's anti-art. It's yuck. It doesn't make you feel anything. And it is inconsistent with the film that she released on the weekend. So I didn't go and see it, but lots of people in the office did. And the point of that film, whether you liked it or not, was to show the perfectionism and the control of Taylor Swift as like a creative genius. Like she's going from the costumes to the set to every little detail. There is not a shred of AI in that. It is almost an anti-AI project. So to then have these weird promotional videos that are made with Google AI software is just very bizarre.
I was going to say that devil's advocate on this is that surveys have shown that young people do not care as much about this notion of AI art versus human art as older people do.
Yeah.
And these videos also, like there's been speculation, for instance, there's like slippers and blankets depicted in the videos, and there's been speculation that this will become part of the merch world or the universe of things you can buy related to the showgirl era. I just wonder if even if she was involved, the thinking was that the target audience for these kinds of things, people running around a city taking QR code pictures, that's not probably going to be older people. It's going to be younger people. And maybe there's some way in which we need to get over this.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to ask, because although obviously I quite deeply do believe that AI is built on stolen art, I do also understand that Taylor Swift and any really successful artist in this era has to be always on in a way that means you are generating stuff all the time. And she is very good at that. She has adapted, and her team have adapted very quickly to every new platform that has come her way. You know, whether that, because she's been famous in creating music long enough that TikTok certainly wasn't a thing, the YouTube phenomenon wasn't a thing.
She was able to define new platforms when she took her music off Spotify. She basically got Spotify to move how it treated artists as a result.
So she is very adaptable, very savvy, very technologically savvy. And what if an artist needs to keep creating the mystique? Like, her art is one thing. I don't think anyone can argue that some exploding hearts on Google that you press and get is art. It's not. It's just a gamification that just adds to the
brand
album
extension.
Yeah. And so, of course, artists are going to use AI to make that kind of stuff because it's not high stakes. And the volume that is required. Is it a good use of the human artist's time to be making tiny little bland videos of this might be the bath that from the hotel that maybe Taylor Swift once lay in to recover from her Barcelona show?
And like video editors, graphic designers, creatives are terrified and are losing jobs and
100%.
are being replaced at a quicker rate than pretty much anyone else. And I think that this reveals probably the greatest tension. Well, there are a few tensions, but one of the greatest tensions in the music industry at the moment, which is this fear of AI and
and all creative industries, to be honest.
Yeah. And so to kind of have that as any part of what you do feels like, even if she didn't know about it, I think you'd be kicking yourself because you would want to, and it sends there was definitely a sinking feeling, like a feeling of disappointment.
But
just
also,
like, oh,
we're
no.
not the audience for it. I think Holly's point that great artists have to do a lot of things. They're stretched in terms of their own personal time and being able to fulfill all their projects, but they're also pushing the envelope. They're changing what we think of as acceptable and as normal, redefining things. And I wonder if this is part of us being left behind a little bit by this new notion of what is art. And she's speaking to younger people.
Before we move on, Jessie, I think in the same way that I had to do a mea culpa when I told all the Out Louders with such confidence that Kate Middleton would never dye her hair. Like that, she just wouldn't. And then she did. Yeah. And I had to say, sorry, guys. I think we went viral a little while ago for your theory that Taylor Swift was definitely going to play the Super Bowl. And not only do we know she's not because Bad Bunny is, but she spelled out on Jimmy Fallon last night why she definitely wasn't going to. Definitely wasn't an Easter egg. Do you have anything to say to the Outlouders?
I do. I tried to Easter egg. I'm not a Swiftie and I tried to Easter egg. And sometimes we don't really understand Easter eggs and you've just got to throw them out there. And sometimes you go Easter egg hunting and you just get a wrapper. And something like I tried, I was wrong. I reserve my right to still lay claim to this theory if it happens.
And some people, lots of people agreed with you. There was something about sourdough being the logo for the
something
blah,
about
blah,
there was an orange and blah. I was like, I thought this is how we played Easter eggs.
I don't think sourdough is the logo of any sports team, Holly.
Apparently sourdough Sam is anyway, whatever.
We don't really understand.
She says she's definitely not going to, and she's definitely not going to because
Travis still plays
she's hoping
football.
her man will be out there on the field, like bashing into people and putting his skull at risk. And she's like, I can't be working on my coro.
Well, it's the kind of thing you'd say
happening.
to throw us off the scent,
Oh,
isn't it, Holly
she's not backing
Wainwright?
down.
No, I'm a
Jessie
bit stubborn.
Stevens never backs down.
No, I don't really understand Easter eggs, but we just have some fun with some theories and ultimately they're very low stakes.
So like everyone else, I've been listening to Taylor's new album and there's a song on there called Elizabeth Taylor in which she sings, I would trade the Cartier for someone to trust, talking about her now very famous, very expensive Cartier watch that she also wore quite prominently in her engagement photos with Travis Kelce.
How much is a Cartier watch, do you think?
So that exact model is no longer being sold new, but vintage editions of it are going for upwards of $20,000 or more because, of course, everyone wants one now. And I love this watch. When I saw in the engagement photos, I have a really unattractive watch. Mia has, in fact, told me that on occasion. And I'm aware of that. And I saw these photos of her wearing the Cartier and I thought, that's a nice watch. Maybe I should look into that.
Maybe she got it from Zara.
So I Googled the Cartier watch and discovered that if I could even get my hands on one, it would be $25,000. But I could use one of these buy now, pay later programs or services to pay just a little bit now and then pay the rest of it off later. But you've seen these, right? In every checkout page for an online shop, you see the opportunity to get the product now, but just pay a little bit for it and then pay it off later. So
4 installments.
Exactly. So there are various companies that do this. So you see these companies on every checkout now, and the way that it's different to old-fashioned lay-by is lay-by was all about paying gradually and then getting the product.
Yes.
But these new services say you get the product and then you pay for it. Buy now, pay later.
Much more attractive.
Much more attractive. So I managed to avoid going into debt for my Cartier, but
So far.
that is not to say I have not been tempted before. And a generation is now turning to buy now, pay later for everything from Botox to concert tickets, says a recent article in the Wall Street Journal. I was staggered by these numbers. 40% of Australians use these services regularly. Millennials make up 75% of users of these various services. And a recent US study nailed the problem with them, which is, yes, they're interest-free if you pay them off on time. They're not interest-free if you end up having to pay over a longer period, as a lot of people do. And what these loans make you do is buy things you would not have otherwise bought.
Yeah.
That's the sweet spot for them. So various people interviewed in this Wall Street Journal article, New York Times article on the subject was also coming out recently. They've bought Harry Styles tickets. They've bought flights. They've bought luxury lipsticks. We've talked about the Louis Vuitton $180 lipstick. They're buying that on the buy now, pay later. The consumer psychology of this is really old. Like we all know I'd rather pay $1 a day for a year than $365 up front. But there does seem to be something new in this idea that, like, why did I think I could buy a Cartier watch? Why was that even on my radar? And why was it tempting for me to pay a little bit now and then a lot later for it? Holly, is this new?
I think, well, yes and no. I think that, we've used that analogy before of walking through business class to get to economy and how you're always more pissed off about sitting in economy if you've walked through business class first. Now we do that for everything because of social media. So I've never obviously set foot in a first class aeroplane section, whatever we call that. So I don't even know what it's called. But because of TikTok and Instagram, I know exactly what they look like.
Cabin.
That's the word we're looking for. I have never set foot in the first class cabin of an airplane, but because of Instagram and TikTok, I know exactly what they look like. I know about the fluffy beds. I know about the door. I know about the caviar service. I know about all these things. I could even tell you that different airlines have different, I could tell you all that
I know
stuff.
which one I want to fly on if I fly first
Which
class.
is never going to happen. I have never owned a designer handbag, but I know exactly that a Mini Kelly is more expensive than the bigger bags, even though you can't fit an iPhone in it. Like I know this stuff because it's all on social media. So we all now have to walk through business class to get to economy on everything from healthcare to skincare to beauty to lunch to holidays. Like that's what it feels like, right?
Yes.
And so that's why I think this is so appealing in this moment. It's obviously really appealing to only have to pay small amounts through when we're all in a cost of living crisis and everything's expensive. I saw in that New York Times piece that 2/3 of Coachella tickets are bought this way.
Wow.
So, and that makes sense. I mean, we all know how expensive it is to go to a concert now, to go to any kind of event that you want to go to. And so it makes financial sense in this kind of cost of living crisis, but also luxury goods that are, as to quote what Jessie Stevens would say, none of our business, like most people's business isn't, I'm never, the Cartier watch, why should we know? You know what I mean?
It's better if I don't.
It's better if I don't.
Yeah.
Is now sort of, it appears to be democratized because it's everywhere and everybody seems to be TikToking about them all the time, but they are still very exclusive.
And that's not an accident, Amelia, as well, that you felt for a moment like that watch should belong to you.
Yeah.
And that's because there's been all this analysis done on the feminization of these brands. So there was an article in The Atlantic that talked about how these are being framed as cute debt.
Yeah.
And even the use of the word cute is like there's something very female about having a little bit of shopping debt.
Yes.
That's fine.
An indulgence.
Like that's a female coded.
It's girl math.
Yes,
Massively
exactly.
girl math.
And there's also the Cash app in the US, and it said little payments are so much cuter. And that's when this writer named Annie Joy Williams looked at it and went, okay, this is not for men. And even Klarna, the brand for a little while, I'm not sure if it still is, but it was pink. And one of the people who was promoting it was Paris Hilton. It was this idea that like women are entitled to those little treats.
It's about treating yourself.
It's not new in that debt and credit card debt has obviously often been marketed to the youth market, but now there's much more stringent rules about that. And in Australia, the buy now, pay later industry is subject to pretty strict rules. This year, they changed the rules on it. And if you're susceptible to that kind of mindset, and I certainly was, I've spoken about this before on the show, that when I was younger, credit card debt, and that was a massive problem for me. Like putting that card down, knowing I didn't have the money for the jeans, and walking out with those jeans, it unlocked something in my brain. It's not anything to be proud of. I'm sure it's to do with your makeup in lots of ways. That then went on to have really serious repercussions for me. I got in so much credit card debt when I was young. It came back to bite me later in life. It still plays out sometimes. My attitude to money can be terrible. And if you're susceptible to that, 'cause some people aren't. They're like, I'm scared of debt. I never want to get in debt. And the marketing of this doesn't talk about debt, noticeably, because debt is a big, scary word, particularly in a tight economy. But this is all little treats. But if you are susceptible to that kind of instant gratification, that kind of delaying the inevitable, then this can be really dangerous.
But I wanted to talk about why this is happening in this moment, because Holly, I couldn't agree with you more that feeling of when you first are spending on a credit card and doing it recklessly as a young person and buying jeans and I remember I bought a Miu Miu handbag back in the day that I definitely could not have afforded, which I put on a credit card, which then got me into trouble later. But I think what's new about this is a couple of like deeper cultural vibes that are kind of fueling it. So we all got into the habit of buying things to lift our mood in the pandemic. And now that's continued as things like groceries get more and more out of reach. We all need fun money. We all feel like we deserve fun money. And then there's that notion of financial manifestation that's also really big on TikTok.
Yes.
The abundance mentality. You remember Rhonda Byrne's The Secret, that book that came out in 2004, which led to people thinking that if you lived beyond your means and if you put that out into the universe enough, that would lead to financial success. And I think we're seeing that play out now in the way people are spending money.
And I also think I wrote about this in my most recent book in terms of class, right? There's almost this rising class consciousness. A lot of our upbringings, I think, particularly in Australia, from suburbs to schools, you are surrounded by people who are in your class and who probably have a similar amount of money to you, and it feels quite comforting because at my school, no one had designer items and no one went to Aspen.
And Drunk Elephant hadn't even been invented
Exactly.
yet.
So I was quite comfortable and just kind of went, all right, this is how my people and my sphere, my Myloo, whatever, lives.
Yeah, our big indulgences were like maybe the St. Ives scrub, maybe a bit of fudge hair colour.
Exactly.
Which you could buy at the supermarket.
Yes, whatever was at Woolworths. And then you go out into the world, and this was, I guess, pre-social media, and I went, oh my goodness, this is wow. And as you were saying, it's like those walls have kind of come down and we've got this insight almost into other people's homes constantly. And sometimes I worry that that's a bad thing. It's like, it's the none of my business.
Definitely it is. Well, it's not a bad thing.
Yeah,
Like,
it's probably,
It's not a bad thing. I think it's in many ways, it's probably an eye-opening, motivating thing. And when I say that, I don't mean to work harder. I mean to understand how the world works.
Yeah.
But to the manifesting point is really interesting because when, we talked a while ago about that really rich influencer, Becca Bloom.
Yeah.
And there's a whole rich talk thing, right? And I had never really stepped into that until we had that conversation and I needed to go and find out who Becca Bloom was. And now I watch her quite often. But what we were talking about on that is that there wasn't a lot of vitriol directed towards her. There's actually quite a lot of goodwill because there's something almost soothing about the way that she does that. But I also think that it's true that people feel like if I can present a tiny bit of that lifestyle might come my way. We also spoke recently, remember, about how dressing for work is back, like dress for the job you want is back and all those kind of things. And there's sort of a sort of confidence that we're really encouraging about, you need to look a certain way, act a certain way, be like act rich to get rich, all of those kind of things that I think is very appealing because it all gives you just all this list of excuses for if you are, like as I certainly am, and was more so susceptible to recklessness when it comes to money. And it's really important to make the distinction here that in difficult economic times, which we're certainly in now, some people are using buy now, pay later to buy their basics. That's a different ballgame. That says a lot about our the economy. And it's not, what we're discussing really is not about that, but more, as you say, the curtain dropping on this other life, this luxurious life that we all feel we should have a part of. As you've already alluded to, Amelia, like skincare and beauty things that, again, used to be the idea when I was younger, there used to be these mythical brands, like Le Mer or whatever, that were for very rich ladies in very fancy spas, and you were never getting anywhere near that stuff. And now, as we've talked about, 12-year-olds in Sephora, it's really interesting.
What I keep coming back to, Holly, is your genius analogy about business class. The one way I would change it is I actually think it's not so much that we're now all being exposed to business class. We're all being exposed to first class.
Yeah.
And if you think about the way international flights are structured, we don't walk through first class to economy.
That's one of the appeals of first class is that the plebs won't walk through and look at you and go, ooh.
But now we're all walking through first class.
When I learned that you could lay down on a plane, I thought, when I've been sitting in economy after 12 hours, if you told me I could pay even $500 a day to get that bed, I'd pay it in a heartbeat.
Meghan Duchess went to Paris for a lovely weekend.
Oh, yeah. No one missed it. No one missed it.
She did. She went to Paris and had a lovely time. That's my headline.
Do you think that she flew first?
Mate, she flew private. Come on.
You reckon?
That's a whole other thing. We're never getting on those planes.
What I'm worried about is that she wore this all-white outfit with this sort of scarf attached.
Yes.
And I just kept thinking about being in Paris with all the red wine in her all-white outfit.
Darling.
Did she have a tied pen?
She would have had to have a time. I'm only telling you about this because it signaled a bit of a new era, I think, in terms of Meg's world, because I remember Mia always says she always says she wants to be a celebrity and just let the woman be a celebrity, but she kind of hasn't been able to because she's royal adjacent. So this was the first time I can remember for ages where she just went and did a celebrity thing because she got invited by the designer. She kind of knows him. It was his first show for Balenciaga. I don't really understand what any of that means, but she's worked with him a long time. He used to work for Valentino, whatever. And none of my business, as we just discussed. And he invited her to come. We call it a jolly. A jolly, a famille, almost like a perk. It's a perk. It's like, you come, Megs, sit front row.
So her name was just on the door.
Yeah, she wasn't like walking the catwalk or anything. She was just going to be there and be one of the famous people there. All the famous people do it. And this is the first time I've seen her just go and have a little bit of fun. She posted an excellently basic video about, here's my breakfast in the hotel, here's my view out the window. She was definitely staying in that really fancy one that Taylor Swift stays in. And here's what I wore, and here are my shoes, and here's my hair. And it was lovely, but that's not what everybody said, was it, Jessie?
There are a few headlines.
Oh, my God. Okay. That woman, the poor woman.
So she allegedly laughed at a model falling over on the catwalk.
Well, she wouldn't. She's not me with the magpie boy.
No. Well, you would have. That's why you're not invited. But there's a picture of her smirking with no context. And someone has found a model falling over and they're like, there we go, Meghan Markle, pointing and laughing. She also went to the Balenciaga show, which is a big no-no.
That's what she got invited to.
Yeah, well, 3 years ago, Balenciaga had 2 controversial campaigns. And people are like, I thought you cared about children.
Even though it's now a completely different person in charge.
Yes,
sure,
yes,
fine,
yes.
Terrible. What a terrible human.
There is more. There is a video of her in a limo with her feet on the seat, which was seen as disrespectful, but wait.
To the limo?
Yes, disrespectful to the limo.
I reckon celebrities have done more disrespectful things than that in a limo.
Yeah. This limo was only streets away from where Lady Di died. And how dare you have your feet up in a way that suggests you are
I'm sorry. I think it was weird. I think it was weird.
Really? All of Paris is only streets away from that tunnel.
But her husband's, not the feet up, but when I saw that video, my first thought was you took a video of you in the back of a car speeding through the streets of Paris.
No, she didn't.
I didn't think that at all. Okay, well,
she's just
a lot of
in the
people
back
agree
of the car. I think speeding is an add-on.
Okay, apparently she also walked in a way that reminded people of Zoolander.
Oh, well, there you
and
go.
the comments said,
I don't know how Zoolander walks.
like an exaggerated model. And they were like, Megan, you're not a model, you're just a guest. Then the body language experts came. Because that's what they had to do. They ran out of headlines.
I am so excited to become a body language expert later in my life.
You would be so good at it because this body language expert.
It's good for people who like making mountains out of molehills.
And just looking at photos of famous
celebrities.
people. Exactly. So
and speculating wildly.
She looked anxious and uncomfortable, allegedly. And did anyone else see the video of the awkward kiss with
Anna.
her friend?
Oh, did you see the kiss with Anna Wintour? They looked like they were chummy.
Well, the one with this was like they went in both ways and then maybe they accidentally kissed on the lips.
Oh, but that's confusing.
That's because they hadn't read the etiquette guide once on the left. That's it.
Exactly. She did that wrong. And also, apparently she was a bit flirty because she was walking towards a car and then she turned around in a way that felt dramatic.
I have to say, I think that this was a triumph for her. It really was.
I thought she
Notwithstanding
looked
the tabloid headlines, I thought she looked fabulous. But also what was really interesting was her star power when you compared it to, as Holly mentioned, there were lots of other celebrities there, including Nicole Kidman in one of her very first public appearances since the announcement of her separation from Keith Urban. She went to Paris for the Chanel show with her daughters. And what I thought was interesting is that Meghan, fashion commentators said she was indisputably the biggest star at Paris Fashion Week.
And she wasn't there with Harry. She was there on her own.
So she's ready for her celebrity era.
She is, right? I think she's ready for her celebrity era. And I love how many different stories one can pull out of a very short video of a woman going, look at my breakfast in Paris. Anyway, that's awesome. Friends, scurrilous time, but based on facts, right? As I said, I don't know if we're all ready to go through this again. So let's hold hands. But someone needs to call JLo's Zodiacal Council. Remember? Do you remember how in JLo's amazing self-created movie, This Is Me, now.
Yes.
She had a celebrity panel representing the zodiac giving her love life advice.
Was Trevor Noah there?
Yeah.
Or was that a dream?
It seems like a fever dream. Post Malone was there. Jane Fonda was there.
That is such a strange group.
I know, and they were all saying things like, no, don't, and yes, do, and
Yeah.
like whatever, and talking, basically directing J-Lo's life. Well, they've obviously taken a few days off because she and Ben Affleck were on the red carpet together this week, which has started a whole lot of rumours again. Now, a little bit of factual context. She was on the red carpet for the New York premiere of a new musical movie called Kiss of the Spider Woman, which is based on a famous stage musical. It was obviously a project that got the green light during her and Ben's marriage because Ben and, of course, Matt Damon, because he's always around, are producers on this movie.
Was he at the press conference?
No,
I didn't see him
any Matt
anywhere.
Damon. I think he maybe had the sense to just send flowers, which is what Ben Affleck should have done, right? So this is a project that they clearly started together when they were married. Just a quick refresher. They were married from 2022 to 2024, so that window there. And also, of course, engaged from 2002 to 2004. Symmetry is amazing. Something about manifesting right there. Anyway, so she's got a new project. She's got the New York City premiere. Ben turns up. There are lots of pictures of them together.
She looks fabulous.
She looks fabulous. He's kissing her. And there's lots of people going, oh my God, they're getting back together? I just want to posit a theory and explore this theory with you. There are some exes whose chemistry prohibits them from ever being friends. Like, yes, it was a nice thing to do in theory that Ben Affleck turned up to direct some attention to J-Lo's new project that he has a vested interest in. But you can just tell, back to the body language experts, you can just tell, no.
And do you think that's a really interesting theory because clearly some celebrities can do it? Like I believe that if Chris Martin and Gwyneth Paltrow showed up for each other's big premieres, that wouldn't be a problem.
Fabulous.
We'd be fine. We'd think that was cozy and supportive.
Absolutely.
So is it maybe here's one theory to posit about this. Is it because Ben and J-Lo don't have children? Is that somehow in the mix?
Well, I think my theory is if your relationship breaks up, as many do, because you are more like flatmates in inverted commas or more like siblings by now in inverted commas, like as long as there is not high betrayal or toxic behavior involved in your split, you can probably go to celebrate somebody else's work.
Jen and Ben, in fact, Jen
Yes,
Garner
they absolutely
and Ben,
do.
they can do it. They've got the flatmate energy.
And you can and probably should really, again, with those caveats about, abuse, try and be civil and nice when you've got the kids involved. And these two do not. But their blended family are quite close. So her kids and his kids are quite tight. But I just think, and I know I'm projecting, and I know this is scurrilous, I just get the vibe from them that they, every time they're in a space, it's like, sparks. You just get that vibe, right? And you can't do that.
Do you know what? It actually might be Ben himself because I was thinking about Gwyneth's exes and I don't think Gwyn and Ben have roommate, flatmate energy. I think and remember how she said he was technically excellent in bed? I wonder if it's just Ben who can't really pull it off.
Does not have a platonic vibe.
Yeah.
Central to it as well is the amount of time you're with the person.
I at first thought you were saying sensual and I was really excited for you to start a sentence with the word sensual here.
I wonder if you've been together for 20 years, right? Then it's like clearly you worked through a bunch of stuff, like the sexual tension probably did evaporate a little bit because they've been on and off. And for those relatively short periods of time.
They can only stand each other for 24 months.
Exactly.
And then just like get out, take your Dunkin' Donuts with you.
But I think the sex is obviously so good that it blocks some kind of common sense.
Yes,
in
and
their
we've all
mind,
been there.
And they have to keep marrying each other just like over and over again. Like they just, so if the sex with your ex is so good that you feel like you have to marry them every time you see them, don't pretend to be friends. Just send good luck
because
message.
J-Lo and Mark Anthony, I think they're fine.
They're fine.
I think they're fine.
Do they have the twins?
Yes.
They do.
They do have the twins. Yeah. I've been looking up pictures of J-Lo pregnant with twins. I have.
Oh, of course you have. Oh, what other celebrities?
Julia Roberts. And, of course, my friend Beyonce.
Of course.
Yeah.
And how's the comparison going? That seems to be like a really healthy thing to do.
The thing about J-Lo and Beyonce and Julia Roberts is how great they looked. And so I just look at them and then I look at the picture of J-Lo at 50 and I go, I can look at that.
Have any of them said anything about twins and raising twins?
Well, J-Lo was on the front page of a lot of magazines. She looked fabulous. She had eyeshadow on and the twins looked happy. So I'm like, I think the other side is glamorous and easy.
Beyonce's Rumi and Sir, we don't hear a lot about them, right?
No, they're 17 now.
Oh, wow.
Oh, my God.
Yes, fraternal.
I don't want to offend you in any way. But if you do not look like J-Lo before you have twins, is having twins the magic bullet that's going to mean you do look like J-Lo after you have twins?
I'm only going to get stronger.
No, but you've got to use the olive oil. That's very important. Yes. She says use a lot of olive oil on your skin.
Yeah, and I might do some of her workouts. And doesn't she have beauty products? I'll just use those.
She does. Yeah, she does.
Just to bring it back a little bit to this topic.
That's called a sidebar. Sorry about that.
Page 6 had a really telling quote from a Lopez source. Unnamed. I get it. They had to meet in a secret location to share this information with Page 6. They like each other so much more when they're not married to each other, a Lopez source said. That's a huge red flag. They each have roles to play. This is what I wanted to talk about. She's the glamorous, gorgeous diva superstar on a pedestal. He's the roguish cad who keeps her at a distance to maintain sexual tension, the source added. So do you think that the reason why they can't really be friends is because they have gotten locked in this sexual role play that is just unsustainable?
Yes.
And I think that obviously my life is not J-Lo and Ben, but there are some people in your life who, if you're ever around them, you fall back into these, just the way that you behave with them. And so it's very hard not to flirt with someone with whom you always had flirty energy. You know, it's very hard to bump into them on a work-related red carpet and be like very boundaried and respectful, you know.
I think J-Lo needs a shark tracking app, but it's Ben.
Yes!
Oh, brilliant.
I think she needs to check it and she's got to go Ben's in radius.
Yes.
J-Lo's not getting in the water today.
If the fin pops
I've
up,
got a
she's
better
staying
idea.
home.
She needs the helmet.
With the things on it.
With the things,
Then
do not
she could
touch.
bedazzle them and it would be great.
You're welcome, J-Lo.
Out loud as gosh, I hope you're feeling really informed and nourished by today's conversation because we had a lot of fun. I hope you did too. Anyway, a massive thank you to you as always. Massive thank you to our team. We're going to be back in your ears tomorrow, of course.
And we also have yesterday's Taylor Swift deep dive. If you want more of that conversation, there is a link in the show notes that is for subscribers. Bye.
Bye.